Ladies and gentlemen, and quite a few of us know Harold or knew Harold very well. But the reason I asked me to speak, I suppose I'm probably one of the oldest, and also Harold and I were in the same class at Perth Boys in 1935. Harold then went on to modern school after that, but I didn't. But that's when we started off, and then I didn't catch up with him again until after the war. But Harold, as you all know, was really an outstanding person. He was highest integrity. He was cool, calm in any emergency, and he achieved a lot that we don't know about. For a start, his war history was outstanding. Up in the islands, he was flying Bostons, 20s, and he carried out 40 operations against really highly defended targets. And when you think that normally about 30 operations is regarded as a tour, Harold did more than his share up there. Towards the end, when he was attacking a particularly heavily guarded target, all his hydraulics were shot away. The aeroplane was virtually almost unflyable, but he was able to crash land the aeroplane, and he and his crew survived unhurt. To this, up until quite recently, Harold was keen to have that aeroplane rebuilt, or at least recovered, and to that extent he even got government assistance to some degree to have it done. But Harold's service in the war was outstanding. Everybody wondered why he wasn't highly decorated, and it can now be told that one of the reasons was that Harold had very strong opinions, and he wasn't prepared to knuckle under, and he clashed with the big chief of the Air Force up there, and generally the opinion is that because of that, Harold wasn't awarded the distinction that he should have done. In fact, although to some extent it might have saved his life, because on the one of the last attacks where Harold was due to lead the attack on a particularly heavy target, and it was quite a kudos as a senior and most experienced, you would lead the attack. But the CO, for some reason, decided to give it to somebody else. At the time, Harold told me that he felt a little bit hurt because it was his right to lead the attack. But as it turned out, it would have saved his life, because the aircraft leading the attack was blown up almost completely over the target. The rest of the aeroplanes only suffered minor damage. So in some ways it might have, well, it probably did save his life. Now after the war, Harold joined in the airline, and he served with the airline for about 30 years. He never ever put a foot wrong the whole time, and you probably heard his talk at one stage about how he had the episode at Fitzroy Crossing, and again it shows how cool and calm this fellow was. Now in that incident, he'd left Broome, but as he approached Derby, the fog rolled in. There was still a chance of getting in, and he flew around hoping to get in. Finally, there was nowhere else to go, and the radio operator suggested he might try Fitzroy Crossing. Now that's some 100 k's away. Harold flew across there, and they tried to put out a flare path. Now, at the time, I was a senior pilot in Perth, and I was on the phone through the whole episode, and they were trying to put out a flare path at Fitzroy Crossing for Harold. And my calculations were that he was almost out of fuel. Anyway, he made an approach to land, even though the flare path was only halfway laid. But unfortunately, in the dark, he came in, they started to lay it from the wrong end. And they called up and advised me that he's had to go around again. And I really thought this was the end, because my calculations meant that he was out of fuel. But anyway, he got around the circuit and came back and landed, and shortly after he landed, one engine ran out of fuel. So, but through this whole episode, apparently he was completely unruffled. So it'll give you a chance of knowing just how cool and calm this particular man was. Now, everybody who knows Harold knows he was a man of the highest integrity, and I think we'll all miss him, and most of the people, certainly all those who know him, will never forget Harold Rowell. Thank you.